G'day and welcome to Making Music. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you a run through of how to write a song, how to produce a song, and even if you're not a musician, this will give you some insights. You'll also hear some music that we have produced, and we'll show you how simple it all really is. Enjoy. Well, the whole idea of this this podcast is to see what we can do on the spur of the moment. That was a new intro, and a new intro every episode, I guess.
Yeah, spur of the moment, and it's funny, Richard, because even after playing that, I was going, yeah. But I noticed my self-critical reactions.
We're going to get to that in a moment. Just a quick introduction. If this is the first time you've heard this, you're Paul Longley. Mm-hmm. And I'm Richard Monk, and both got music backgrounds and a variety of other things too, including mental health and a whole lot of other things. But we're focusing very much on music and how a musician thinks, and if you're not a musician, how you can become one for yourself or professionally. But we'll work that out as we go along the track.
Yeah, and how the mental health aspect comes into that too.
Very much, and how powerful music is. But yes. We did promise last time about that it's self-criticism. It seems not like the right term, but it is. You criticise yourself, and I guess you have to be able to manage that. And as a musician, it's the same in any job. I know plenty of artists, and everyone is in agony when they're doing their work. I know plenty of carpenters. I know plumbers, electricians. I know surgeons. They're all in the same boat. They all have that moment of thinking, oh, God, am I good enough? Can I do this? Is this something that I should be doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I've definitely been there too and questioned that. And I'll just say there, Richard, I think it's not all negative, right? There's critical aspect, like we talk about constructive criticism, feedback, and I think that is very valuable. But I think what we do is on the other side is we just go to that extreme where we ruminate on it and basically, don't give credit where credit's due. I've seen it myself. I've seen it in people I work with, and I've seen it in my own kids, and there's that whole perfectionism, and that can be incredibly powerful. But it's like, when do we go, hang on, when does it come into it? Right now, I can put it aside while I'm starting out.
But can you? And I wonder about that. Yeah. I worked with. Do you remember a guy on television, Graham Kennedy?
Not too sure.
So Graham Kennedy was. He was really the beginning of radio into TV, and then he was huge on television throughout probably towards into the 80s, and that was about it. But Graham was regarded as probably the top of the pile in that era of television and radio. Mm-hmm. I worked with him towards the very end, and we were sitting in the studio one day, and he said, "I vomit before I go on stage. I vomit before I go in front of the cameras. I vomit before I." And this guy was the leader at that point. Mm-hmm. Funny, warm, caring, all of those things, but sick, physically sick before he went out. And he never got past it, but he still kept the performance going. You wouldn't know.
And this is a very, very real for a lot of people. I know I don't, when I get in front of people, I don't have the physiological reaction like that. But for me, it's a very, in my cognition, in my thinking, where even when I'm playing or performing and questioning whether I've got the crowd and again, it's something that's really different for different people. And I would say too, something like that physiological response, that's where people feel like, vomiting, that's even clinical, like comes to a clinical phobia, which, if anyone out there does have that or feel like that, it's good to find someone who can help them deal with it. It's something, but as you said, there are people that have that all the time performing, and they know how to, they feel like that, but they still get out and do it. And that, I think that's one of the most amazing things, is being able to get out and do it. And you just said something before about whether you can, put this criticism aside. And and or the reactions or the adverse reactions, whether it's in our thinking or in our body towards an experience. So I would say we can learn to live with it,
Yes.
learn to accept it. That's been something that's been amazing for me, and realize what's going on. The talk, like I could be playing something right, and I could start playing wrong notes and go, "Oh God, I'm doing this on radio or on a podcast, and I'm making mistakes. Oh, I'm hitting all these random notes, yeah." But then I can just be okay with it. And there's going to be times that I'm not going to be okay with it, but I just accept that it is what it is. I could be trying to do something really nice here and just like go, oh, I'm not liking that bass note. Yeah, I could pick the living guts out of it, hey. And I think learn to accept that we're not always going to be on our A game as well, whenever we're creating.
You're listening to Making Music, and coming up we'll talk about getting on with making music despite your fear. But right now, this is a song from my album, it's Come Outside. The song is called My Son.
Looking up at the Milky Way, everything seems okay. Dreaming of things that we could, doing the things that we should. Son, it's now, not then. The sword draws blood, not the pen. Believe what you must to survive, but stay true, stay alive. Looking into the abyss, calculating all of this. The black wolves bite, the white wolves fight. Who the hell is right? Son, it's now, not then. The sword draws blood, not the pen. Believe what you must to survive, but stay true and stay alive.
Well, that song is My Son from Rich's album Come Outside. We're talking about how you can get past your fear of creating music.
How do you say to yourself,
Yes.
it's okay, it's all right, mate, go ahead and do it?
Well, look, and this is huge. There's a few ways to do it. Look, I've done a lot of work on myself in what they call cognitive behavioural approaches, and I study coaching as well at Sydney University, and we get a lot into in coaching psychology. We cover a lot of just the thinking patterns that we have, and I think there's also what they call acceptance therapies or acceptance approaches. And I guess even what I was talking about there is that ability to be able to, when we're doing something, is when we have noticed that our thinking is being critical, like going, oh, I stuffed that up. We can go, oh, I stuffed that up. But where do we go from there? Do we let that just go around ahead for the next 2 hours, or I stuff that up and there's all these people listening to me that I value. And the big one for me, I would just say, is if I'm playing music and I know there's like about 20 insanely amazing musicians out there. And then from the minute I start to the minute I leave the room after talking to them and analysing how I think they are avoiding from telling me what they really think about it, or whatever my brain does, that's probably one of the most difficult situations for me. But I've even learned over that time to go, they can be amazing and they don't actually have to like me.
That's the big, and that is the big one too. But it's also, it doesn't take much, I think, and I think it's fair to say for most musicians to be better about the way they think if you get somebody who supports you. Yes. All they have to say, and I was lucky, before I moved up here onto the mountain, I was in Sydney, and there were a group of musicians I was associated with and friends who were all really good at what they're doing, but really supportive of one another, and so many new musicians or musicians who had lost their way were part of that group, and most of them have gone off to do amazing things. But it was support to begin with. So, but that support, you have to support yourself.
And just to add to that, I think you have to support yourself by making sure you're around the right kind of people, the people who aren't going to, because we know we have family members that will go, oh, you shouldn't, you don't even open your mouth. I remember being in nursing homes and hearing people in the 80s say, I was told when I was 10 that my voice sounds like a croaking frog or something, and they still remember that. So the thing is, we've got to be, like you said, finding those people, finding at least someone who can give support, or even if it's not a person, find like a friend that you can't find someone who has that coaching ability, or a music teacher, or someone who can give that, but who can give, not just tell you how to do it right, but to encourage you where you're at. Yeah.
It's also, that's one of the benefits of bands too. If you're with a group of people who are like-minded, you're encouraging each other. So that's clearly why bands work. Because
can work.
Sorry, correct. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Yes. Oh no, some of it goes to the pack pretty quickly. But the good ones, when they do work, it's because of support.
Exactly.
And then as time goes on and people's egos become big and all that sort of stuff, it can get messy. But in those early stages, you listen to some musicians who can't hit a note, but because they're surrounded by people, good musicians and good support, the song works. You go, wow, that's amazing.
And I think that's an amazing point, Richard, is that when you're around people that believe in you, it can bring a lot out. And I notice that with my students when I give that, or when I coach people, when you give that support, you don't have to give much. It's just like when they do something that's tasty or tasteful, you go, oh, that's awesome. And it's in psychology, they call it reinforcement, behaviorism, and just that, giving that reinforcement, and that means you keep doing that kind of stuff. And I think, like you say, in a lot of bands, if you're with the right people who are encouraging and nurturing, you can really have a positive experience. But I think it's something that and for people listening, if you're thinking about, hey, how do I develop this lifestyle of, learning to be less critical, like Richard's saying, be around people that encourage it, but be really diligent with yourself to make sure you're around the right kind of people.
Yeah, you are your worst critic, and I guess if you can admit to yourself that what you're doing is what you want to do.
Yeah.
And there's no need to force it. It's like people who, and I can use another analogy, I guess, because I'm a writer as well, but people have asked me to write books for them. And I've done a little bit of ghosting, but not much. I've asked me to write it, and I get a quarter of the way in, I think, I don't want to do this. I have no interest in this. I'm technically doing it, but the person who wants me to write the book, it's their story. I think, why did you write it yourself? Because they haven't got the confidence to do it or the capability. They've got the story, but they don't know how to put the words together. And you think, okay, that's you're going to give me money to do this, but my heart's not in it, and it'll never read like your heart's in it.
Yeah, and I think too that's another thing. If you can, you want your heart to be in. I think for anyone starting out, just wanting to create music, I think that's a great place, because I would say that's where I've got jaded at times too, from playing, doing a lot of gigs over the years, and you do things that you sell your soul a bit, and you do things that you don't always really want to do, and you become a bit like a robot or a machine. And
radio jingles.
Yes, exactly.
Keep coming back to
well,
them.
that's right, and it's the same with just having to belt out the covers. But what I do is I will go back and do my own thing, and even if they don't like what I do, I've had, you do have to develop a little bit of that resilience, but it comes back to just being okay with yourself and what you're doing, and know that you're not always going to be perfect even at yourself, and we're human beings, but in our society we do have this, we've been told you have to get it right, but everyone has different takes on that. And, if you're around the people that are just, not bringing it out of you, you've got to find other people.
You're listening to Making Music, and coming up, the great singers and their lack of confidence and how they overcame their fear and, in fact, overcame other people's songs and made them their own, but more on that shortly. But right now, a song from Paul's album, Mind's Eye. This is called Listen.
Well, it's so hard to listen when your radio is not turned on, when we don't know the stories of the journeys we're traveling on. Well, it's a sure misunderstanding when you're keeping out of other people's shoes, when we don't know the reason for the stupid things we do. Hey! To listen when your ears are not tuned in to the lives and the stories, to the places the spirit's ever been. I sure mind your miscommunication, and I really think that you should mind mine. If I don't try to understand you, I'm as sure as hell wasting time. Oh, listen, listen, shut up and listen. Wouldn't it be better if I take my own advice and simply listen, listen, shut up and listen. Now I know the reason why I get myself in strife. Yeah, yeah, we're so quick to stand and point the finger at the things that others have done, but do we ever stop and wonder why they've gone the way they've gone? Maybe you think you're better. Well, I thought I was better than you too. Let's just lay our cards on the table and admit we've got no clue. I sure mind your miscommunication, and I really think that you should mind mine. If I don't try to understand you, I'm sure as hell wasting time. Listen, listen, shut up and listen. Wouldn't it be better if I take my own advice and simply listen, listen, shut up and listen. Now I know the reason why I get myself in strife. Listen, listen.
Well, that song is called Listen, and it's from my Mind's Eye album. Now let's take a look at how good musicians make other people's songs theirs.
I guess if we talk about some of the great musicians, the great singers, there's an example of that too, about their own confidence within their own ability has been so powerful that they can take somebody else's song and own it. And I know we're doing some rehearsals at the moment, and there's a song by the Nine Inch Nails called "Hurt." Johnny Cash grabbed that, and the Nine Inch Nails guy said, "It's Johnny Cash's song now. It's not mine anymore." So he handed it over to Johnny Cash, and "Hurt" is a huge song for Nine Inch Nails, but Johnny Cash just owned it. But anyone who, from this point on, who does a version of it, it's theirs. It's something that they own. And if you look at some of the greatest artists, Elvis Presley, if you like, never wrote a song in his life. It was interpreting other people's stuff, but he had that confidence. He managed it so well. He had huge talent, but he also grabbed that and said, look, the inner critic for me is not there. That's not the battle for me. It's what's happening outside, but obviously later it took over.
And this whole inner critic, you know, we can be so adverse and against our inner critic, but you know what? If we can become, I think for me, too, talking about this whole thing, if we can become friends with our inner critic and go, our inner critic's all, I guess that's what I was getting at before, it's always going to be there, you know. But we can actually give it a little bit of distance. And it's even good, you know, for those out there thinking about this, and if you are trying to make music and stuff and you're just like, you hear yourself going, oh, you're so crap, why don't you just like even imagine having a little bit of distance from that, watching that inner critic like a friend over there go, what, I can't hear what you're saying, and kind of, you know, don't piss off your inner critic, but just be friends with them. Hey, you know, and just have fun with your inner critic.
Let's do a role play.
Yes.
This time you're the musician and I'm the inner critic. Okay.
Oh yes, please.
So
do.
we're going to.
This is awesome.
We're going to play a 3-chord something.
Yep.
So.
Going to be my inner critic? You can go for it. You can rip into me.
Inner critic's saying, yeah, that's okay, but gee, it reminds me a little bit of a piano accordion. Is there, you know, can you do a little something different, a little bit of sparky in that?
Yeah, so I could do that a bit different, but then I'm going to talk to my inner critic and go, maybe it's not as piano accordion as I like to think it is. But yeah, but then I could try to do something else that's not too wompy. So I could just, I'll use the same chords. But now my inner critic might say that's too...
I'm useless as being an inner critic.
Yeah.
I thought the first one was brilliant, and this is even better.
How about a role play and let my actual real inner critic speak? So my real inner critic, they're saying, "Oh, Paul, that's so flippin' soppy. What are you doing?" And this is really, just for those, this really is my inner critic talking. But I've learned to go, oh, you know, inner critic, you're not actually necessarily wrong, but you know, I'm going to keep it in the background and just kind of see, yeah, you're right, maybe I could change it and maybe just use the same chords and just, I'm going to let my inner critic listen to it to a degree, but then be okay to say, yeah, like we would to someone, let's say, even if we imagine a friend who's in our face, who's a bit too abrupt sometimes, like our inner critic, and we can go, yeah, let's see, I don't know, I'll think about that, leave it with me. And I think there's a lot of power and to be assertive even with our inner critic.
So once the inner critic steps back and you're going to play, what do you do? What do you do? Inner critic is sitting back saying, "Oh, I got you. I understand. Play something for me." Then I'm listening.
Well, I'm going to say, inner critic, I'm actually not here to play for you. Inner critic, I'm here to play for me. And I still value what you have to say, inner critic. But in the end, I make the decision.
You win. Inner critic is sitting in the corner shaking, saying, "I don't want to be an inner critic anymore. What else is there in life for me?"
I think this is such a fantastic conversation, Richard, you know, because it's something that I think we don't talk enough about in society. And And it's not just with music. Like this applies to every single aspect of my life. But music is a wonderful grant. Like a creative space is a wonderful place to develop this side. It's personal development, you know.
Of course it is.
Being okay with ourselves. And look, I've even in the last year I've had people say, Paul, stop beating yourself up. You're doing good. You're getting there, you know. And I start saying that stuff to and I tell my inner critic, hey, you know, we're cool. It's okay. I'm doing all right. I'm good enough. I've got this. You know?
Just on another note, and you probably know way more than I do about this. Mine's lived experience, but I think a lot of sociopaths and narcissists connect with your inner critic, and that's a lot of how they get their power.
And our inner critic can also connect with that aspect of them. And that's where we have to, sorry to interrupt there, and I think that's where, and I will just say quite assertively, with that type of behaviour that is directed at us, is that who's got to take responsibility of that? We can't change what they're throwing at us, but we can change, and this is my biggest challenge, I can manage how I deal with that. And it's just an enhancement of my own inner critic anyway. They're locked in with it and they know how to just get those spears right in. But it's like, what am I going to do about it? What's my real opinion of myself?
Yeah. All right, let's swing it around a little bit. There has to be a time too, and I know this has happened with me personally. The inner critic has actually become a benefit.
Absolutely.
As a producer, and I produced a lot of music and a lot of noise over the years, and I found I always would say to people, don't produce yourself because your inner critic will mess you up until you train your inner critic to be your best man, best mate.
Yeah.
Flip it around and if you can do it, it's a tough thing. I'm not sure even if it's real. It may just be in the way I work, but the inner critic becomes the producer, and I become the performer. But you actually have to, when you get into that production suite, you flip it around and go, okay, critic, go for it.
Look, absolutely, and that's been my experience too. And I think that's the power of it. Like saying before about you being friends with the inner critic. You know, if you're just going to go, nah, stuff you, I'm not listening at all. There is an arrogance in that. I say for myself, but I guess what we've been talking about here is the other side where we just totally listen to what it's almost like the inner critic maybe in a sense is saying stuff, but we're over personalising it even, and we get so like we think at the times where someone might give constructive feedback, and I even had an experience last year with my studies where I am, you know, I love getting feedback, but it still gets to the core of me because I was thinking, oh, come on, Paul. My inner critic came in, come on, Paul, what are you doing? You know, you got to get this 100%. And this is that black and white thinking that we do. If we're not perfect at it, we are crap. And I've had that since childhood, and I've actually been working on that just recently, and it covers every aspect of my life. But I think being aware of that knowing that your inner critic can have so much, or you know, good stuff to say, or from other people, even getting it from other people, asking other people, having that self-reflective practice. I think, but keeping it in check. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
How do you deal with that, Richard? Like, if you would, like, say you have your inner critic come in when you're doing production, or that element of perfectionism, how do you manage that so it doesn't get out of hand?
Well, it does get out of hand when I'm, not so much as it used to, but when I was playing, when I was really trying to get guitar working, I thought my inner critic was saying, you are the worst. You are the worst. I was playing some lead, and the inner critic got the better of me. It sounds ridiculous now, so I stopped playing because it was saying you'll never ever be any good at this. Yeah. So the way I did it, I changed the way I played, and I was watching a reading, I think, or watching or listening to a Neil Young interview. You know, Neil Young had polio when he was a kid, 6-year-old kid, and his left-hand side was useless, and he had to rework his whole entire left-hand side again. You know what sort of guitarist Neil Young is. So he said, my left hand still does not very much. He said, it's all in the right,
Yeah.
all in the right. And it inspired me enough, just an interview, just to say, all right, let me see what I can do here.
Yeah.
Because the left's not doing what I want and the right's doing all the work.
Yeah.
And that's the style that came out of it. And it may not be the best in the world, but it gets me through the stuff I need to do and the way I create. And it's important that I understand it. Long way to go to be good. But
what is good, Richard?
yeah, well, in my mind.
Exactly.
And you'll get to that, you'll maybe get to that point one day and it'll be just the moment before I, kick off the mortal coil. I go, gone. I don't think you ever, you never nail it, I don't think.
Oh, you never do. And look, I think I was saying before, I learned classical violin as a kid and I was, I could have, fully studied classical music and stuff. And honestly, at times I do feel very technically disadvantaged. Yeah, I do. People will listen to me and go, oh, no, you're not. But it's like, nah. If some classical person hears me, they're going to go, the guts out of butt. Yes, they could, but it's like, does that mean I've got to go to this 100% thinking that I'm crap because I can't play technical? No. And as you said, Neil Young, he compensated. We compensate. But does that make it, because we can't do it in a normal or... we're always going to have people out there that are going to think what we do is crap. And that's something I've learned to accept too.
Also comparing yourself to others... who have been practicing along a whole different pathway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I know I stand in awe when you play piano because again, my left hand is not great. It'll play the bass and do some other stuff. My right hand does what it wants to do. It's fun. The left hand, I watch you. You've got a great left hand, a great right hand, so you know how to do it. But
I disagree with that.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Can you give me something with a strong left in it?
And I stuffed that up at the end.
Go for it again and give me some right with it. The left hand right.
I don't know. Oh gosh, now you put me on the spot.
That's an idea.
Okay. See,
yeah.
So I actually disagree. I thought, there's going to be, like you say, in comparison. Sorry to interrupt, but in that whole comparison, like you could look at me and go, "Oh, I'm better at piano," but then I look at someone else and say, "Oh, they're much better than me." Like my friend James from school. But then again, it's like, but then I've learned to do this, I guess, with the whole self-criticism thing. Actually, I've got something up on my friend there, or and it's not to just blow my own trumpet. It's just to keep it in perspective, keep it. So I guess keeping that balance, that critical thinking, that negative thinking, and look at the flip side. And I would say that comes into this whole cognitive behavioural realm and thinking realm where we've just got to challenge some of our thinking sometimes.
But there also, totally agree, there also has to be a point though where you find the things that you can do well.
Yes.
And the things that you can do well might be just you can do...
Might be, I can just play two, you might just be, someone listening might just learn to play 5 chords, right? And just do it like this. In fact, I'll say that a lot of singer-songwriters out there and famous people who are famous artists who play piano often just do simple things like this. And anyone can actually learn to do that. Whether you can play it with feel or nice, is beautifully is up to the individual and your own personal expression. But just showing that you can take the simplest things and it can really touch people, the simplest things. Yeah.
But anyone who's into sort of blues pretty well knows that there's only 3 chords in the whole thing.
Yeah, but then blues has its whole dynamic and space in itself that can be very versatile and very innovative and creative. Yes, that's debatable too. Basically.
And I guess we don't want to go too far off track here, but there was with the Johnny Cash, that last album he did before he died, where Hurt was on it. He also did a bunch of things, but Hurt. The driving force for me was the the bass was played on one note on the piano. So if you do, what was it? Is it, where did it start? C, D, A minor. And the bass was only a single note.
Yeah, and you mean in the chorus or in the verse?
Yeah. Oh well, in the verse it's A minor, whatever.
Yeah, in the verse. I can't even think. I heard the. What is it? I heard the news. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the bass,
just single
that's
single
right.
note. That's it. Just that note. Yeah.
I think I can't remember.
So while others would, and if you listen to the Nine Inch Nails version of that, it's quite complex. There's a lot going on, and a lot of production, and a beautiful song, just beautiful. But when Johnny Cash grabbed it, he just stripped, or not he, the producer, stripped it all back.
That's right.
Voice was all the soul. Piano was a thump on the bass note, one note.
Yep.
And the
guitar was
all very simple, but all straightforward. So it shows that understanding of turning something complex into something simple.
Exactly, and I think coming back, and I think it totally ties into what we talked about last time.
I hope so.
Well, I would say definitely, because we were talking about, just simply creating, and then, the criticism aspect is about letting yourself be okay with doing things simply.
Yeah.
Because as we say, and we've been harping on about, is that's where the power can be, is in simplicity. And when we say power, when I say power, I'm talking about feel. When you just hit a chord and hold it and let it ring out.
Yeah.
I love using space. Keep it just simple. I'm holding a foot pedal there.
Beautiful.
And the simplicity, there's beauty in that. Simple, not perfect, but can get people's hearts.
So next time round, I think we're going to do a bit more on construction of music.
Technical
now
aspect,
that the technical construction, and it's that don't run away, don't get frightened. It's going to be quite simplified.
Exactly, very much.
Understanding how to start. If you have a piano or if you've got a guitar, or whatever instrument
even
you've
your
got.
voice, even I would say with voice, because it can apply, because we'll be talking, a little bit of music theory that you can apply, but we'll apply it to any voice, piano, guitar for sure.
All right, that's coming up in the next episode of Making Music. Paul, thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you, Richard. It's been awesome.
Can we get a play out?
Let's do it. Not perfect that last note, but that's all right. Perfection and imperfection.
So I wrote the song about moving to somewhere new and some of the positive things that can come out of moving like that. The song is called Mountain. Sitting on top of this mountain, everything is different here. The light, the smell, and just the people. I see and hear the world so clear. You should come up on the mountain, feel and see what I can see. Chase your demons to the valley, release your soul and just be free. Walking free on the mountain, chasing dreams you once forgot, making love in the winter, the little things that mean a lot. You should come up on the mountain, feel and see what I can see. Chase your demons to the valley, release your soul and just be free.
off and grab your family. Feel yourself, let life begin.